A small boat dubbed the Liberty left Gaza harbor with people needing urgent medical assistance as well as students and crew.
Say her name!
Claudia Gomez!
Say her name!
Claudia Gomez!
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on over 30 cable stations from Maine to New York City, on the internet at thestruggle.org. Another especially outrageous sniper murder by Israeli forces. This time Razan al-Najjar, a 21-year-old medic, shot in the chest while she was tending the wounded. At first, Israeli propaganda was unsure. The lie factory didn't know what to say. After all, on March 31st, the official IDF spokesman had tweeted, "Everything was accurate and measured, and we know where every bullet landed." So they first said the killing was an accident. Apparently this simple lie was not enough for the top authorities. They wanted something more elaborate. So the Army's Arabic spokesman found a video that included these words: "I am Medic Razan al-Najjar. I am here on the front lines and I act as a human shield." The editor stopped there and cut the remainder of the sentence. Now they could feed into the bizarre claim that all the protesters were shields for a secret Hamas military operation. What they distorted, of course, was the complete sentence. She had said, "I act as a human shield, as a rescuer for the injured on the front lines." This is Razan's mother holding up the vest that Razan wore the day she was killed. Then Sabrine, Razan's mother, went out to join the other Gaza protesters. There's a hashtag in Razan's honor, Princess of Return. This is injured protester Mohammad Homada with his 6-year-old on her birthday. He died this week. Today, June 8th, over 100 were shot with live ammunition. 4 dead, including Haitham al-Jamal, 14 years old. And away from Gaza, this young man, Ezzedine Tamimi, was shot, beaten, and left to die on the West Bank by Israeli soldiers. He's a member of the illustrious Tamimi family of Nabi Saleh. Ahed Tamimi, who is in prison for slapping a soldier, was denied early release this week by a so-called Israeli judge. Somehow we should shame or pressure the gun makers and the politicians into stopping the Rugers and the other guns going to Israel. Now we examine Israeli state piracy. You probably know the Gaza Strip has been under blockade for years. The only exceptions are small fishing boats. There have been a number of attempts by internationals to break the blockade. The most famous was the Freedom Flotilla of 2010. But the Israeli Navy captured the boats on the high seas and killed 10 of the passengers on the largest ship, the Mavi Marmara. The excuse has always been that these boats are secretly bringing in weapons and other nefarious cargo, even after inspections by unimpeachable neutrals. The Israelis sing the same tune: the blockade is necessary for Israeli security. But what about boats leaving Gaza? Surely that can't be a threat to Israel. So this May, on the anniversary of the attack on the Mavi Marmara, a small boat dubbed the Liberty left Gaza harbor with people needing urgent medical assistance, as well as students and crew. Some were cancer patients. They attempted to make a safe passage to Cyprus. Nine miles out, 4 Israeli ships surrounded the Liberty and boarded it and seized it. Piracy. About a month ago, Ann Wright was in Connecticut talking about another effort to educate about the Gaza blockade and to break the siege of Gaza. Wright is a retired Army colonel and a former diplomat who quit the Foreign Service in protest against Bush's Iraq War. We pick up where she talks about the first attempt to sail out of Gaza 4 years ago.
So we decided after that, let's try to do something in Gaza. So our next project was called Gaza's Ark. We took a boat, a fishing boat in Gaza, and renovated it into a cargo boat, and we were going to sail it out from Gaza. We couldn't sail in, we were going to sail it out. So we employed about 20 Gaza workmen, craftsmen who helped rebuild the boat, and people like you all were buying products that are still made in Gaza, beautiful embroidery, blouses and purses and things like that, and carvings, olive oil. There's still a lot of things that are made there, and we had asked people to go to the various organizations, to include the School for the Blind, that has a beautiful online catalog that you still can buy from, and have those products that they purchased consigned to Gaza's Ark. And then we were going to put them on Gaza's Ark and sail it out, and then mail your packages from whatever port we went into. Well, this got a lot of publicity. Probably not here. Had any of you all ever heard this? No. But it had a lot of publicity in Israel. In fact, Israel covers these trips more than any other place. And it was covered to the extent that as it was getting closer to sail, all of a sudden there was an explosion in the stern of it. And it almost sunk. We pulled it back up and had it ready to go again when in 2014, on the second day of the Israeli attack on Gaza, after buildings were blown up all over Gaza, and I guess they had one more missile left on one run, and they thought, oh, well, Gaza's Ark, we know where that is, so they just put a missile right into Gaza's Ark. And so it has been, it was a great project, and people in Gaza still remember Gaza's Ark. In 2015, we had the Mary Ann, which sailed from Scandinavia around through the Atlantic and then down into the Mediterranean, and they were joined by 3 small boats in the Mediterranean. And this was a new thing. We ended up sailing all of them toward Gaza, but kind of at the last moment, we had the 3 smaller boats go in different directions, and kind of gave the Israelis a run for their money on, like, what is going on? What? So the only one that actually was captured by the Israelis was the Mary Ann. The other 3 boats did not go into Gaza. They went in other directions, though. So in 2000, and here are 2 of the smaller boats, little sailboats. In 2016, we had a very unique sail, and that's called the Women's Boat to Gaza. Now, how do you like that design? Isn't that pretty? Yeah, that was done by a Palestinian artist from Ramallah, a fella who did that. And it was a women's boat. We decided, we've been doing this now at that time for 8 years, from 2008 to 2016. So we needed to get something else because people are saying, and rightfully, I mean, why do you keep doing this? you know what's going to happen. They're not going to let you in. They're going to steal your boat. They're going to arrest you on international waters, arrest you, take you to a place you didn't want to go, Israel, throw you in prison, deport you, and then steal your boat. So we're tired of giving money. Well, and I can understand that. But it does get a lot of publicity in the Middle East, and it gives a lot of hope for people in Gaza, and I'll show you a little bit of that. So we decided we'll have a little bit different thing. This time we'll just send women on this boat. So what are we going to do this year? In 2018, we are going to sail again. We're sailing again. And we're going to have 4 boats this year, we anticipate. 2 of them are going to be leaving from Scandinavia and going around Europe on the Atlantic side. And then 2 of them are going to be going down the middle of Europe. For the very first time, we're going to have boats that are going down the waterways and the rivers and canals of Europe. And we'll be stopping at various places along the way. In fact, on the waterways, they'll be stopping every night someplace. On the Atlantic side, we'll be making about 14 port stops. And that's where you all come in. If you happen to be in Europe this summer, we would love to have you be a part of the ground crew. Be a part of the ground crew, and then if you're part of a ground crew at one of the stops, and if you want to go on the next leg of the trip, we will be working to get you on that. And that brings me up to something I forgot to do. How about if you'd like to be on our mailing list, if you'll write your name legibly on this and your email, and if you're interested in meeting us someplace in Europe, whether it be in the UK, in France, in Spain, Portugal, Sicily, let us know, and we'll email you back and let you know when this will be. Are any of you going to be in Europe this summer? There's one. Where would you like to meet us?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay. No, really, this would be a great opportunity for you all to participate in this. And it'll be very interesting because we'll have people from all over the world that will be joining up with it. We'll have local teams from the countries we'll be stopping in, but then we'll have that'll handle most of the work for the boats coming in, but we want to have an international team that'll be there to greet the boat too. So it's going to take 74 days, leaving in mid-May, and then slowly meandering down into the Mediterranean, and then finally, probably about the in the middle of July, leaving from someplace, we won't disclose where, because actually we don't know yet. But it won't be disclosed until later, but it will be disclosed. I mean, we're very upfront about this, about where we go from. And then the long trip that'll be going back across to Gaza. So that's what we have right now, and I'll show you the boat that we have for one of the ones that'll be going around through the Atlantic side. It's a fishing trawler from one of the Scandinavian countries, and we've named it Al-Auda for the return. And this is it as it was taken out to have work done on it. And this is the inside as it's being renovated. And why do we do this? Well, we do it because we want to give hope to people in Gaza that we're not forgetting them. Before we have any of these flotillas, we always ask some of our partners in Gaza, do you want us to do this again? Or would you rather us collect money and send it through organizations? And every time, to include this time, they've said, please send the boats, because it gives us hope. So that's really what it's all about. We'll continue sailing until the people of Palestine are free. And we would...
The new Gaza Freedom Flotilla has already started and will hopefully reach Gaza in July. To end Palestine news on a very positive note, the Argentinian soccer team on its way to the World Cup tournament was supposed to do a friendly game in Jerusalem, but under pressure from BDS activists, it canceled. It was supposed to be another jewel in Netanyahu's crown, But it turned out that millions of dollars were wasted. Go BDS! On Friday, June 22nd, the Baki movement will lead a protest of thousands of people in front of the Saudi embassy in Washington, D.C. The major theme is protest over the regime's destruction of religious memorials, but also the arrest of Saudi feminist leaders and the regime's hideous bombings of Yemen. Speakers include these members of the Coalition to End the U.S.-Saudi Alliance, Ali Musvi, Ali Al-Ahmed, and Medea Benjamin. The rally will go from 2 to 6 p.m. See SaudiUS.org for details. In Hartford, Connecticut, perhaps 150 angry people denounced border killings of immigrants and the government policy of separating children from their immigrant parents and sending children, even infants, into shelters.
Say her name!
Claudia Gomez!
Say her name!
Claudia Gomez!
Stop the killing!
Stop the hate!
Could you talk about why you're here today?
I'm here for many reasons. I'm here because of the disgusting treatment of the immigrants at the hands of our government today. I'm here because we're detaining children. We're separating children who've been traumatized with their parents who've also been traumatized to warehouse them in God knows what conditions. I'm here because of the murder of Claudia Gonzalez. I'm here to stop the anti-immigrant rhetoric that our government is doing right now.
Could you tell us about Claudia Gonzalez?
Claudia Gonzalez is a 20-year-old unarmed Guatemalan woman who crossed the border and was shot in the head by ICE agents.
And why the significance of the red handprint?
Right, the red is just to symbolize the blood of those who have been murdered by ICE agents and Border Patrol.
There's been a lot more than just one or two incidents.
Apparently over 7,200 in the past 20 years, so this is nothing new.
Say her name!
Claudia Gomez!
Say her name!
Claudia Gomez!
As you guys know, a member of our community, Roxana, was died due to medical negligence in a detention center. What do we want? Shut it down!
What do we want?
Shut it down!
What do we want?
Shut it down!
When do we want it?
Now!
We're here for justice for Roxana, and we're here for justice for Claudia. Claudia, who was gunned down by a Border Patrol agent. She's only 19 years old. That's murder. We want justice for Claudia and her family. What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
We're also here because we have families that are being separated. We have children, over 10,000 children in detention centers across this nation. We have families being separated at the border, which is nothing new. We knew this was happening under a previous administration. But under this administration, they have become more aggressive, separating 1.5-year-old children from their mothers. That is cruelty, that is inhumane. They like to call it a zero-tolerance policy, but it is a zero-humane policy. That is what it is, separating our families and jailing children in detention centers that they want to refer to as shelters. They're not shelters. They're not caring for our children or for our families. They're being caged in detention centers. And so we're here today for those children too. And we're here today also to talk about the ongoing deportations that are happening. Today with us, we have a family that is in process of deportation from Honduras. I would like, please, Nordia, I would like to recognize this family who is being backed by their union workers from 32BJ. Shout out to 32BJ. Shout out to 32BJ for being here, for recognizing that workers' fight is also immigrants' fight, that we're in the same fight and that we fight together for equality, for justice, for our people. This beautiful family, they're trying to separate, they're trying to tear them apart.
Mi nombre es Nordia Lagos,
My name is Nordia Lagos.
soy hondureña.
I'm Honduran.
Tenemos una orden de deportación
We have a deportation order.
y tenemos que tener un boleto de avión para el día 25 de junio.
We have to show that we have bought a plane ticket by the 25th of June for the end of July.
Tendríamos que salir el 25 de julio
We have to leave this country by the 25th of July.
y no queremos que eso pase y agradecemos todo el apoyo que nos están dando.
We don't want that to happen, and we thank everybody for your support here today.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you to everybody.
Look at this family right here. This family does not do anything to this administration for them to want to come after them and separate them. Look at their beautiful children. That is inhumane what they're trying to do. So we're gonna fight for Nordia and we're gonna fight for Carlos. We're gonna fight for their family. Not one more!
Deportation!
Not one more!
Deportation!
Ni una más!
Deportación!
Ni una más!
Deportación!
Ni una más!
Deportación!
So I want to say thank you to Nordia and Carlos for being brave enough, for coming out today, for standing with us, and we're going to stand with you, and we're going to make sure you guys stay home with your beautiful family. Arriba, abajo, la mina pa' carajo. Arriba, abajo, la mina pa' carajo. Arriba, abajo. So, Nordia and Carlos are not the only ones in our community who are facing deportation. Nelson could not be here today with us because he has a lot of medical conditions. He is awaiting a kidney transplant. He has a private donor and private insurance. But Nelson cannot get this transplant that he needs to survive because this administration is trying to deport him. The doctors have told Nelson that they cannot give him the transplant even though he has a private donor because there is a deportation order for him for June 18th, I believe. And so what? If they send him back to Honduras, he will literally die on that airplane. He will die in Honduras. He needs that transplant, but this administration is willing to let him die. And we're not going to like that. So for my friend Nelson, who couldn't make it here today because of his health condition, I want him to know, and I want all of us to express that we're going to support him, we're going to fight for him, because he is a member of our community, because he has a right to be here, he has a right to be here with his family, he has a right to live. And this system, this administration is trying to kill him. That's what they're doing. So I would like everyone to say, keep Nelson home!
Keep Nelson home!
Keep Nelson home! Keep Nelson home!
Keep Nelson home! Keep Nelson home! Keep Nelson home!
I would also like to have Megan from ULA.
Hi, I'm Megan Fountain. I'm going to be very brief because I think soon we're going to move into action. But I'm studying history, so I wanted to share a little bit of the history of what we're seeing today, because what we're seeing today with immigrants in cages and children in cages is not new. ULA got started in 2002, and that's around the time when the Bush administration created ICE. Before the war on terror by the George W. Bush administration, there was no ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It was Bush who created ICE and put immigration under the Department of Homeland Security and treated immigrants as terrorists and criminals. It was also Bush who started Operation Streamline. And we just heard Trump and Jeff Sessions announce that they are starting a zero-tolerance policy, and every immigrant who turns themselves in at the border seeking asylum will get charged with a crime of illegal entry or illegal re-entry. Well, this is not new. This is Operation Streamline, which began in 2005. These are factories of courts which make a mockery of justice. About 40 immigrants are brought into the courtroom and they are tried en masse. That is not justice. They have maybe 1 minute to speak with a public defender before they plead guilty, and they get sentenced to 6 months for illegal entry or up to 20 years for illegal re-entry. Now, unfortunately, this has been a bipartisan project, and the Obama administration increased prosecutions 130%.
Boo.
So that, yeah, you can say boo.
Boo.
So now illegal entry and illegal re-entry are the most prosecuted crimes in federal courts today.
I'm very lucky because I get to serve in the state capitol, and for several hours a day I get to put on a necktie and a suit and wear a pin, and I get to be Representative Tong for several hours a day. But 24 hours a day, I am Tong Wei Ling. I am the son of immigrants. Yeah.
That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller for The Struggle.